Not only was this episode well done, it made you think, like, what if your best friend's parent was a racist?
It's bad enough I gotta deal with them all day long. Now one of them's in my house. That kid's a bad influence. All his kind are. Never even told me you were
African American? Would that have made a difference to you, Foley?
If it wasn't for Tony, oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning back in. I'm back with another video. And before I begin, I just want to say thank you for all of my last subscribers and engagement and everything with the last few videos. And speaking of those last few videos, with the white guilt video I did, that's going to tie in a little bit with this. And I'm doing a new series, Static Shock. I know for the last few videos, I've been seeing a lot of comments about, oh, do Static Shock, Static Shock. The Sons of Fathers episode, where Virgil realizes that Richie's father is a racist.
But Dad, that's not fair.
That's the last word, Richie.
You know, Virgil is black, Richie is white, they're best friends. To them, they're just friends. They don't see color like, oh, my white best friend, my black best friend. They're just friends. But they found out that Richie's father is a bigot, he's a racist, and he really has no reason behind it. Before I begin the analysis of the episode, Static Shock was one of those shows that I remember, but I never really watched it, honestly. So that's why I wasn't so quick to do the video about it. You know, Hey Arnold, Arthur, Proud Family, I watched that religiously, like over and over and over and over again. You know, I could just think of episodes from the top of my head. But Static Shock, I was like, I remember it like late 90s, early 2000s, but like that's not a show that I remember watching like that. But I've seen so many comments about this episode, and I've seen other videos where I'm like, okay, let me give my take on it. Another reason why I wanted to dig deep into this episode is because over the last few videos, over the last few months, I've got a lot of comments when it comes to like the race relations, where a lot of people would say something about, oh, they would go over to their best friend's house and then the father or the parents wouldn't like them because of their race, or the parents would be like, oh, why are you hanging out with them? Or not even with best friends. Think about like your boyfriend, girlfriend, you dating somebody, they finally take you over to their house and you realize the parents don't like you because of your race.
Oh my God.
That happens a lot. I even had friends in real life experience that, where they go to meet the parents, whatever the case is, and they get the cold shoulder. And then they realize, oh, it's because I'm black. To give a quick synopsis of this episode and the show, I'm only going to talk about the scenes that are relevant. Basically, the show revolves around Virgil, who, a black teenager living in the city. He has his family, his friends, he goes to school. His best friend, Richie, is white. I'm only saying that because it's in relation to this episode. But a secret part of Virgil's life that people don't know about is that he's Static Shock, superhero that goes around saving the town, saving the city, you know, kind of like a Danny Phantom type of thing. So the episode really begins with like a villain taking over the mall. Static Shock comes in, saves the day. Then we go over to Richie at Virgil's house.
Yeah, Mr. H, you got a choice of two. Shriek 3 or Homie Alone.
Richie is real comfortable at Virgil's house. He's there all the time. And the sister tells him,
You're here so much you should be paying us rent. Back off, Barky.
And you can just see how he has a great relationship, not only with Virgil, but with the family and even Virgil's father.
Don't forget to take the pizza box to the trash, son.
On it, Pops.
But all of a sudden, Virgil has an epiphany moment where it's like, you know what, Richie, we never really hang out at your house. Like, I know it's no problem with you being here all the time, but I want to go to your house sometime. You know, let's switch it up. You know, like, let me meet your parents. Let me go to your house. Let me be in your room and let's hang out at your house. And you could tell Richie is reluctant for some reason.
We never hang at your crib. We always hang here. I'll have you over. Soon.
How soon?
Fast forward, we're at Richie's house and Virgil is excited. He's finally over there and they're in the room talking. And you could tell Richie is like, all right, okay, everything is going good according to plan. And the mother comes in, Richie's mother is like, oh, you know, dinner's almost ready.
And you said hanging at your crib would be a snore fest. So it's only 3 for dinner, huh?
Dinner in 10 minutes.
Smells good, Mrs. F.
Thank you, Virgil.
But then all of a sudden, you hear downstairs, Richie's father come in, and he looks at the mother like,
There's your father. I'd better go talk to him.
I thought he was on the night shift.
you can obviously tell there's some tension. Like they didn't want the father to come home while Virgil was there. Basically, like they were trying to sneak Virgil in the house because they know the father feels a certain way. This is even more apparent where Virgil excitingly greets Richie's father for the first time, and like I said earlier, Richie's father gives him the cold shoulder.
This is my friend Virgil. Remember I told you about him?
Not nearly enough.
Wait a minute, hold on.
This cold shoulder goes on even further when they're at dinner eating, and mind you, Virgil is trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, like, okay, whatever, whatever. He just probably mad. He just got off work. He's tired. They're at dinner eating. And Richie and Virgil are talking about, some, rap music, this and that. And then the father breaks out into this rant about how rap is a bad influence.
It tears down everything guys like me built.
As the viewer, we know what's going on. But Virgil, being open-minded, he still gives the father the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's not a black or white thing. It's just, that's how older people think. My father thinks the same way.
It's not a black-white thing. It's an old thing. I'm so embarrassed. Will you stop? My pops hates hip-hop, too.
Virgil then makes his way to brush his teeth, going to the bathroom. But on the way there, he stops at the parents' door and hears Richie's father saying this.
It's bad enough I gotta deal with them all day long. Now one of them's in my house. That kid's a bad influence. All his kind are.
Hold up, wait. Oh my God, hold up.
You hear that? His kind. Bad influence. It's bad enough I gotta deal with them all day at work. Like they're aliens, like they're other, like they're pests. Basically talking about black people. Like, I gotta deal with these black people all day at work. Now I got a black person, a black guy in my house. Like, it's so annoying to him. Like, being in the presence of black people is a nuisance for him. And Virgil feels it. Like, now he feels like, wow, this is how the father feels. This is why he was acting like that. And then he goes home. And then Richie, rightfully so, tells his father off.
You got what you wanted, Dad. My best friend's gone because of you and your stupid racism.
Back at home, Virgil's talking with his father about it. And his father gives him some words of wisdom.
Kind of hate feeds on itself. But Richie's made up his own mind about who to like.
Side note, I just want to talk about how you could tell Richie's mother felt caught in the middle. She's not like the father. Richie is not like the father. But for some reason, she got with him. Richie can't help that that's his father and that's the way he thinks. You could tell that the mother feels like she's in the middle. She knows the father is wrong, but she doesn't really speak up. And that's another problem where maybe she feels overpowered or she feels like she has no voice. And Richie is an example of, you could be the son of your father, as the episode is called, but you don't have to be a reflection of your father. You don't got to be a reflection of your parents, especially when it's not a good one. It's not a positive one. It's not a progressive one. So to make a long story short, Richie basically ends up running away. He gets kidnapped by the villain of the episode, basically as bait for Static, because he realizes that they're best friends.
Better way to catch Static than Jack and his running buddy.
Richie's father then reaches out to Virgil's father to find out and team up to find him because he know that they're best friends, and he does so reluctantly.
I don't want your help, Hawkins.
You need my help, like it or not.
You could tell it was like, I already had this black boy in my house. Now I gotta go meet up with his black father to find my son. Like, what am I going through? Why am I being put through this? Like, it was so miserable interacting with black people outside of his job. But when you really look at the root of the problem, you really look at the root of how he felt, why he felt like that, he had no explanation.
I swear to God, I don't understand.
Another side note, they didn't go this deep into the episode, but in a way, do y'all think it could have been from the way Richie's father raised him? Richie's grandfather, that could have been the thing. Like, nobody is born hating a certain race, feeling a certain way about them. That's taught behavior in a way of thinking. But the real turning point in this episode is as Virgil and Richie's fathers team up together, they walking and talking, they have this conversation, and Virgil's father really lets him know, like, why are you this way? There's a reason Richie ran away from you.
A fine, upstanding bigot. Ignorant, and proud of that too. Richie ran away from you a long time ago, Foley. And who can blame him?
While he doesn't really show up because, he has this bravado of like having this tough exterior, that puts things into perspective for Richie's father. So eventually they found out what Richie is, being held captive by the villain. They fight him, don't really win. Static, Virgil, comes in, saves them, and then even Richie's father tries to help him out. You see, they all worked as a team. His racism, his bigotry, it didn't matter. The end goal was saving Richie, saving themselves, and getting out of there. You know, Static, who for some reason they couldn't tell was Virgil, ended up saving the day. But here's the thing that got me. Static, who nobody knows is really Virgil, he saves the day. He saves Richie. He saves all of them basically, gets rid of the villains. But then Virgil's father is like, oh, do your parents know where you are?
Do your folks know where you are, young man?
Like, really? No thank you, no nothing?
Do your folks know where you are, young man?
I don't know, saving your life. So in the end, you could tell that Richie's father finally has a change of heart, change of thought, maybe, as he goes with Richie to pick up Virgil to take them to some type of convention.
Thanks for taking the day off to take us, Mr. F.
No problem.
He greets Virgil with a smile and handshake, which he should have did when he first met him in the beginning. And that's basically the gist of this episode. And I gotta say, for this to be like a late 90s episode, I feel like they handled the subject matter well. It wasn't too over the top, you know? It wasn't too one-noted or like underwhelming where everything was implied. No, you actually heard the father say nasty things, say racist things, his kind, bad influence, this, that. And even Richie was like, oh, I'm tired of hearing racism. Like, they really let it be known that Richie's father was a racist for whatever reason. He had these ideas of black people, of black teens, and oh, they're bad influence, all this hip hop music, oh, they're all gang members, criminals, thugs. That wasn't said, but it was implied. And talking about like the white guilt trope, the white guilt topic, in this, the context was different. It wasn't like, oh, I'm white, I feel sorry for what happened years ago and I'm gonna make sure. No, it was like a thing of, wow, I feel sorry that my father is a racist. You know, even the mother, she felt it too, but she was too scared to speak up.
Appreciate that. Thanks. Virgil, about last night.
However, Richie was not. He spoke up against it to his father. And this is where I want to talk about, you know, going against the grain, going against what your parents say or your family members or your friends when you know they're in the wrong. Especially when it comes to them saying something racist, saying something offensive to other people, whether it's like, you know, another race or somebody who's handicapped or has some type of disability. Because, you know, let's be honest, sometimes, you know, our family members, you know, our friends, they might say something that's a little offensive or a lot offensive, racist, and you'd be like, whoa. Do you laugh it off? Like, oh, ha, ha. Or do you be like, why you said that? What you mean by that?
Not on my watch.
Sometimes you gotta question these things. You know, it's your father, it's your mother, it's your best friend. But you gotta acknowledge and check them when they're wrong. Especially when it's for no reason at all. Like, to just think this way, to just say that, it's like, now I'm questioning your character. And that's what Richie did in this episode. But he didn't let that define him. He didn't let his father's actions and his father's thoughts define him. Whereas like, oh, my father's a racist, I can't hang out with you no more. Because, you know, that's another thing I seen in the comments. Oh, we can't hang out no more. My parents don't like you. My parents don't want me hanging out with you. Richie didn't do that. He fought against it. And he rebelled against it for good reason, because there was no good reason for Richie's father to feel like that in the first place. With this episode, I really liked how they laid out the plot. And it wasn't just the father is racist. Racism is bad. The father learns this lesson. They're all happy. That kind of was the thing, but it wasn't so 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Like, you really got to see the progression. And especially with the way Virgil's father was talking to Richie's father, you got to really see him like, like it hit him deep, like, wow, like, why am I acting like this? Why do I feel like this? He had no explanation. And that's how it is a lot of time. Over time, as people grow up, they get stereotypes, they learn stereotypes in the media, maybe through real life experiences. But you realize all people of a certain race don't act the same way. So to say, oh, all black people, all Asian people, all Latin people, all white people act and think the same way, they don't. You know, there might be popular opinion or popular thought or, you know, stereotypes from history, from this, from that, but people are people. Everybody has an ethnicity, everybody has a race, but you shouldn't judge or define them by that. And I love how this episode said that in so many ways. And for a show I really don't remember watching like that back in the day, this episode was a good watch. And for those, you know, that are fans of the show, you know many other episodes of Static Shock. What other episodes would you like for me to review or talk about? What did you think about the episode? How well do you think this episode of Static Shock handled this topic? With these racism episodes, it's always, most of the time, white versus black. But it always don't have to be like, oh, I'm white, I'm sorry, da da da. It could be like, no, you know, I'm standing up for what's right. My father is a racist, but I'm not. And I'm going to put him in his place because he has no reason to be like that anyway. People don't really talk about this, but sometimes kids can help raise their parents because they're stuck in old, non-progressive ways of thinking.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
With that, guys, please let me know your thoughts down below. I can't wait to read your comments, interact with y'all, see what y'all think about this episode. I know people have been requesting it for a while. I finally got to it. And I can't wait to see what y'all think. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.
I still don't get how a guy like Richie has a father like that.
He's broken his father's cycle of intolerance.